today. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. So how artificial intelligence is disrupting the tech landscape for convenience stores. We've heard a lot about artificial intelligence. It's certainly a buzzword out there, not just in our industry, but in our society at large. But I think one of the questions is, well, how do we take advantage of it? We're kind of hearing about these things, but is there actually applicability to our business? And if so, what is that applicability? So really pleased to have Fiona Harris, who is the CEO of ROC Associates, ROC Associates. Fiona is out of the Georgia area, and she's going to be talking just about that. So really excited to have her on the call today to lead us through artificial intelligence and how we might be able to use it in our convenience stores to make ourselves better. Really quickly about Fiona and ROC Associates. So they're a boutique consulting company, and they work with the top 20 chains and in the industry, as well as regional players and people internationally, and really work with small and large alike on the cutting edge of technology. So with that brief introduction, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Fiona, to tell us a little bit how artificial intelligence can be used in our firms.
Thank you, Jed. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak again. Certainly always like engaging in these activities. And let's start on a positive note. This is finally a disruption that is positive for us. We lived through COVID. We've survived Amazon so far. And this is actually a tool that, if executed the right way, can bring very, very positive disruptions to your business. So I think that's the good news. So we're going to start out with the agenda. What is artificial intelligence and machine learning? Why now? What types are available to us? And then how can we apply it to our businesses today and going forward? Just a quick slide on us, just our industry experience. Obviously, petroleum is the biggest part of our business, but we also do restaurants, grocery, general retail. We like to think we align IT with operations. It's a marriage made in heaven when it's running well, as you all know. So that's really what we like to do, is to bring those two organizations together for positive outcomes in the business. So what is artificial intelligence? And as Jed alluded, it's a buzzword. It was big at NACS this year. And it's getting bigger. So it's the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that are normally requiring human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, and translation between languages. This means that AI computers or machines can collect and process and analyze information at huge amounts, at huge speeds that they are receiving, to then help retailers calculate consumer behavior patterns and make future market forecasts. If we think about the business today, many of you will have above store reporting tools, and you've got data analysts, business analysts that are running, complex reports for you, but it's all rear view mirror. And you're having to react on past activities and past mistakes in some cases, and correct that in the future. AI is going to give us tools to be more predictive in our behavior, more predictive in our business planning, and I think that's the big upside to this. And I have a little statement at the bottom: what is time to a computer? Imagine what you pay business analysts and data analysts to generate dashboards for you, and like I say, complex reports. Those folks can now be focused on different areas that will be much more forecasting into the future and predicting what will happen. So it allows retailers to make informed, data-driven decisions about their business plans, whether that be which products will sell the best, what sells with what products, or understanding how consumers like items to be displayed. Are they positively reacting to pricing or promotions by monitoring facial reactions? Not facial recognition. I want to be very clear about that. It's just reactions. So none of what we talk about today has anything to do with identifying individuals unless they want to be identified through loyalty programs and things like that. So this really is about capturing general information about your customer base. And artificial intelligence models can do so much more than people can to identify these patterns and trends in data. It can identify similarities. It can identify anomalies. And really gives you a leg up on the competition, and because you're always looking forward and not using the past to plan the future. And they can do it very quickly. And what is time to a computer? It's free. And the other upside to all of this technology is the more you feed the bear, the smarter it gets. So the more information you can feed it, the more intelligent it becomes, and the better a tool it becomes to help you in your planning. Having trouble changing my slide here. Hang on one second. There.
And while you're doing that, Fiona, I just was going to mention to the audience that we'd love you to be able to ask questions throughout this. So we have you on mute, but if you want to type a question into your dialog box and just go to Webinar Framework, I can read that question and relay it to Fiona. We want this to be as educational as possible for you guys. So yeah, please feel free to ask questions. Back to you, Fiona. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, of course. So, you know, Jed said it's a buzzword. It definitely is a buzzword. So what are we seeing today out in the industry? So at NACS this year, Josh and I were both there, and artificial intelligence, there were a lot of tech providers there. There were some educational sessions, and it was a big topic of conversation as being a transformative tool that retailers are increasingly turning to in order to differentiate themselves, not just to customers, but vendors and the competition. And you will achieve greater operational efficiencies. Obviously, that leads to improving the bottom line. According to McKinsey Global, investments by retail and CPG, and I'll come back to the CPG angle a little bit later, but they're investing in artificial intelligence, and it's expected to exceed $8 billion by 2024. And the impact to retail in the next decade is to the tune of $9 trillion. So you want disruption in a positive way, you have come to the right place. So the capabilities of AI for automating tasks, improving decision-making, operational efficiencies, both in the store, above the store, and the forecourt, and personalizing the customer experience are accelerating year over year. And as you see, the great impact that it can have. At a high level, the areas of AI data analytics is focused on one, improving the customer experience using data analytics, establishing dynamic pricing strategies for optimal margin, analyzing customer data for marketing and sales campaigns, personalizing marketing campaigns and promotions. We're going to go through some case studies, and the power of this is really unbelievable. It's going to give us data that we've never had before. You know, we've relied heavily over the years on vendors, what new products are coming out, what they think we will sell, what they think. And really, their analysis is based on national, what they're selling into stores, not what actually is selling or isn't selling. So we've heavily relied on vendors, and it hasn't been the smartest or the most impactful decision that we've made. Imagine flipping the tables on them. They have to come to us for data now. They want to know what's selling. They want to know what price points are right. They want to know what people are buying with other products. They want to know which promotions have been the most successful. And we're going to be able to provide them and monetize that data in a way that we've never been able to do before. And that, I think, is one of the biggest messages from this presentation, is the monetization of this data.
I don't know, where's this data coming from? Is it coming from our POS that we're ultimately going to be able to use to monetize, or to put the technology over to be able to make good inference off of? Or is it from other systems? Or give us a sense there.
Yeah, all of the above. You can feed almost any data. I would say that, yeah, so transaction logs are critical, obviously. But there's, well, let me go to the next slide. We're going to actually get to that specifically. The key is that there are three types of technologies that we can leverage today, and then I'll talk about the inputs to that. So video is the first one, and I think it's the most important. Almost everybody on the call, I'm sure, has extensive security cameras on site, both in the store, on the forecourt, in the back room. You've got cameras everywhere. And the great news about the technology that we're talking about today can leverage, in most cases, depending on the age of those cameras, it can leverage those, and you just layer the artificial intelligence over the video. In many cases, you never have to review the video footage, because the artificial intelligence is sorting through that video footage, looking for traffic patterns, the customer recognition on their faces, dwell times in the store, what products are being picked up, are customers getting frustrated looking. So video is huge. And I mean, imagine a day where you can know exactly what times of the day you're converting customers from the pump to the store, and not just converting them at higher rates than other times of the day, but what are they buying? PDI did a study that mapped out the peak times of customer conversion from pump to store, but they followed that up with the top 2 categories of products that were being purchased by those converted customers, and it was packaged beverage and beer. So now you're armed with this information. Imagine with your loyal customers, you can personalize and digitize, promotions at the pump. And when I talk about the forecourt specifically, when you see and hear where pump technology is going, I think you're going to be blown away. I know I certainly was. So video can provide impactful opportunities to provide not just improvements in sales, but performance of employees. Artificial intelligence can tell you why, this particular store gets their McLean's order put away faster than these other stores. Why is that? And not only that's happening, but artificial intelligence can tell you why. So it's operational improvements as well and efficiencies, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the audio. But utilizing these existing cameras for real-time analysis and data gathering, that's a huge opportunity for all of us because we've already invested in those systems. And on a side note, if any of you are looking at replacing those systems, I would definitely keep AI in the conversation. Are the cameras you're buying or investing in capable of having an artificial intelligence layer of technology included? So just something to think about. We're also
walking through a Kroger. They have their test store in the Seattle area where they experiment with a lot of technology. It's probably 7 years ago or so, but kind of crude on the AI. But they had the security cameras at the front of the store that would count the customers that came in, and they knew, hey, the average customer shopped for 25 minutes or whatever the number is. But then that helped them staff the counters, the checkouts, to be able to pull people off because they would be able to understand when there'd be a rush on the counters based off of that. Again, that was kind of crude AI, but it was a very operational application that Kroger was working with, which I thought was interesting.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Really, the limitation factor is our imaginations. What do we want to know about the business? So, like I said, converting customers from the pump to the store. What traffic patterns do customers follow? Where do they dwell for the longest? Where do people seem to have looks on their faces of frustration or shock at the price? Again, I think it's our imaginations that limit the capabilities here. Whether it's the payment, fuel measurement, safety measures. Do I have somebody smoking out by the pump? All of these things can be monitored. Washroom maintenance, using IoT sensors as an example, tells you at what point after a bathroom door opens X number of times does it need to be cleaned. You can get alerts coming from pumps. Again, it's really limitless of what can be done now that we're actually seeing and analyzing every small step and activity that takes place in the store of customers and employees alike, and getting real-time alerts. It's not getting a report today of what happened last week in the store. This is happening right now, and you can send out real-time alerts that can take corrective action. So I think that's really the big thing as well, is it's not looking in the rearview mirror and going to somebody and saying, hey, last week you did this. It's right now. And once you feed that bear and it's getting smarter, it can become much more predictive. And I'll touch on predictive maintenance at one point in the slide deck. So again, using this computer vision with existing cameras, you're halfway there. So leveraging transaction logs. So Jed asked, yes, transaction logs are a huge part. Loyalty data, inventory movement, any data that you have at your fingertips can be fed to the bear. And then the key to really managing this is, what are the use cases? What are the things that you want to know? So do you want to know when cashiers are upselling? Do you want to know when they're greeting customers? Do you want to know when they're wearing their uniforms or not? Do you want to know when your food service people aren't wearing gloves, when they don't have their hairnets on? Again, it's up to your imagination to build out the use cases for your business of what you want to know. And when you think about it, we're going to have video and audio. So really that removes the borders of limitations, right? I want to know when a cashier upsells, what they upsold, and then I cross-reference that with the transaction log to see if the customer bought it. And this is all being done behind the scenes by this machine learning and this artificial intelligence, and presenting you with the data. And again, it gets smarter over time. So the longer you have it, the more predictive it can become. The audio can be fed from in-store microphones. And in some cases, many POS systems already have microphones. And you can have multi-directional ones. So I can tell if it's the customer speaking or the cashier speaking or the person, next to the cashier. So it really does zero in. And imagine, you could now avoid having mystery shoppers. You've got your own mystery shoppers, and it's capturing it real time, and it's feeding you everything you could possibly want to know about the steps to service that cashiers are executing, and who's doing the best job with upselling, what is upselling the best, what do customers say, yeah, I'll take that deal. So it really it's just extremely powerful. Text and chats. So we've all used them and probably been frustrated by them. For some reason, Delta Airlines never understands my accent, so it can be kind of frustrating at times. But this is getting much better now with natural language recognition. And so, you can use this to automate customer service interactions. You can integrate it onto your websites. You can, have it assist help desk staff in gathering initial call information. And again, the more you feed it with, words and phrases and information, the smarter it becomes, and it becomes a very, very positive tool, and it helps you to rely less on humans. Now, not to say that you're going to reduce staff, but you can give those staff people something more interesting to do, such as feeding the bear. So I want to make that clear as well. So there's a few different kinds of analysis that's out there. So diagnostics, most retailers already work with diagnostic analytics. That focuses on analyzing past data to understand why certain events occurred. So again, looking in the rearview mirror. Predictive analytics leverages historical data and statistical modeling techniques to forecast outcomes or events. So now we're getting closer. And then prescriptive analytics. Once you have a prediction, what you need is a recommendation. So prescriptive analytics uses optimization algorithms and simulation techniques to suggest the best course of action based on what has happened in the past and why. And again, it gets smarter over time, as well as predictions of what will happen next. So it really is a collection of everything, and it's looking for trends, patterns, anomalies, and it's going to produce information based on the use cases of what is it that you want to know, and the whys. So in promotions, this is one example. It can recommend what a retailer can promote, sets of products, what does sell better together, what are the right price points. It can review price elasticity for you. What sells at one price point in one store might be a higher price point in another, and that's up to you to make a business decision on whether you want to operate that way. But the possibilities are endless in terms of evaluating, promotions, pricing, how you interact with customers, your loyal customers, doing personalized marketing that we've heard a lot about. This is really the tool that gets you there.
So Fiona, I have a question. So you're kind of saying that AI does a lot of stuff for us, and it can sit over our current things that we have, whether that be cameras or POS system, et cetera. Are there specific AI providers that we're supposed to use, or Chat GPT, or where do we access this AI data, I guess is what I'm asking.
Sure. So there are specific technology providers that are out there, and so the first thing I would do if I were, if I had a retail chain, is I would want to build out my use cases, because you don't want to buy the technology and then you're limited by their capabilities. You want to know what your business requires, what you want in your business, and what you want to achieve, and what you want to know. And then you go and evaluate the providers. And they literally layer the AI capabilities that they offer into your existing systems, and they consume data from your existing systems. So the key is really, as with any technology, document your business requirements, document your use cases. So, we want to know the times of day when customers convert from a pump to an in-store sale. Then we want to know what they buy when they do come inside. We want to know about the upselling of cashiers. We want to know when uniforms aren't being worn or name tags aren't being worn. So come up with all of the things that you want to know, then look for the technology that can provide that. And also, of course, the best integration that's available for your existing technology. So that would be my best advice in terms of how you go about it.
Yeah, that makes sense, to really have your use case in mind to be able to evaluate the technologies that are out there.
Yeah, you don't want to buy the technology and then you're limited by their capabilities. That's the mistake a lot of folks make with technology. It's, I've got a problem, okay, technology, fix it. Where you really need to define the problem, how you want to fix it, and then find the technology that can support that solution.
Thanks.
So on the forecourt, so global AI in the fuel market size was valued at 2.3 billion in 2021, and is expected to reach 5.32 billion by 2030. And that's not just in the stores, retail fuel. That's on the distribution side as well. There's been a lot of good work done on the AI side in terms of how fuel's distributed, deliveries at the stations. And again, there's a lot of opportunity for partnerships here to feed information back to others. Leveraging surveillance systems powered by the AI algorithms, the forecourt can be monitored in real time and improved in the areas of security, safety, and gathering important insights such as vehicle filling time, peak times by vehicle type, vehicle queue time, capture license plates, gauge general customer demographics, age and gender, analyze traffic patterns such as peak pump to store conversion times, as I've mentioned several times, key categories being purchased by the pump to store converted customers, spill detection, and think about safety. Is somebody smoking by the pump? Has somebody driven away and then also was left in their car? Almost anything that you can dream up in terms of a situation that might arise at your station can be accomplished with this. So you can also optimize fuel inventory management. You can improve your price forecasting. And again, you're just feeding all of this information, what your price was, what your volume was, into the AI engines, and the algorithms will be able to predict the future for you. Takes a lot of guessing out of your day-to-day operations. And then also personalized customer experience. I'll talk about one example out in the forecourt that is possible today. There's not a lot of people doing it, but it just gives you an idea of, I'm giving you more of the real today, what you could accomplish, but then I'm also going to pepper in a couple of, wow, this is where it's going. So again, understanding that pump to store conversion, I think that's something we've all battled with, since pay at the pump is really the norm now. That's always been a struggle for us to figure out, how can we get those customers at the forecourt to come in? And if we can figure out why the ones that do are, and what are they buying, then we already have a step up in getting others to come in. So most pump to store conversions occur during the morning and afternoon rush hours. That's according to that PDI study that was done. The top categories, as I mentioned, was packaged beverage followed by beer. So imagine now that you know that, and if you did this analysis on your store and you knew exactly in 15-minute increments, when you're getting the most conversions, what are the actions that you take next to battle that and to convert more customers? Or at a minimum, increase the basket size when they come in. So if we know it's beer and packaged beverage, what personalized offers can we do at the pump for loyal customers? But what promotions can we run inside? And then we make sure that cashiers are upselling those items. So knowledge is power, and this really gives you knowledge that we haven't had access to before. At the pump, the customer stored data. If they're a loyal customer, if they're using an app of yours, that can be used to automatically initiate the refueling process based on vehicle type, fuel type, and offering personalized marketing. Looking into the future, there's even AI-enabled fuel pumps now, and I'll touch on those on the next slide, I believe, but I think you're going to be quite surprised at what is possible. Using the intelligent, video surveillance systems, we can enhance safety and security in our fuel operations and can monitor fuel stations in real time, detecting any suspicious activities or safety hazards. So, it's not your typical reporting that we've had in the past, right? This is much more far-reaching. You're going to have eyes on everything in every store all the time in real time, and it gets smarter over time and can feed back better information for you to run your business. So as I said, it allows you to recognize vehicles and respond by offering a hyper-personalized fueling experience. Once a vehicle is registered on your app, customers can simply enter a station that supports this new service, where smart cameras will automatically identify the vehicle. We know it's a loyal customer, At the pump, the customer store data is used to automatically initiate the refueling process based on the preferred fuel type, the spending amount. We know what car you're driving now, and we can even tie into your digital wallet. So literally the customer gets out of the car, puts the nozzle in the car, everything else is automated at the pump. And it makes for a much smoother customer experience and allows you to use that time that you have. I think it's 4.5 minutes is the average fueling time of a customer, to pepper them with time of day promotions, personalized promotions, and ways to draw them into the store. And then customers are informed by a digital screen when the fueling is completed, and then they're obviously invited to take advantage of those personal offers. So it's really powerful in terms of, what we can do. And there is companies out there that have these AI enabled fuel pumps that are actually, there's a company out in I think it's South America. Was it ADNOC, I believe, Josh? A company called ADNOC. And you can probably Google them. But they are doing this process now where customers pull in the parking lot and everything is automated in terms of that fuel transaction. And you think of the power of that, and I think I speak for the world when I say this. I'm never excited when my car's on empty. It's not a purchase we like to make. It's what I call a grudge purchase. We have to do it, but the more automated, the smoother that transaction can be, the more pleasant it is. Then it starts off that consumer experience in a much more positive way. I mean, nothing worse, and we're all consumers of fuel, than pulling into a station and you pull up to the pump and it's bagged, or it won't take your pay at pump payment. So the more that we can smooth out the wrinkles that can take place with these fuel transactions, it significantly improves that customer's experience, which is not a pleasant experience. As I said, we look forward to going out to eat. Most of us don't mind grocery shopping. I can't think of anybody that goes, wow, this is really exciting. My car's on empty. I get to go and fill up. So that's something that we should always keep in mind. Inside the store can be used to report and track the time it takes employees to perform any operational tasks, such as sweeping or receiving or counting, and can provide insights into operational efficiencies. It can look for similarities across behaviors in stores, anomalies, and not just present you with that, but tell you why. Why is it this way? And again, it's in real time, so you're able to make adjustments and additional training opportunities, coaching from the store managers to the staff. So it's really powerful in terms of optimizing your day-to-day operations and finding the best practices based on what's already taking place in some of your stores, and then you can actually roll that out, those best practices, to all of your stores. It can be used to track customer foot traffic, identify areas of the store where they dwell the longest, and what can be used to improve the store layout and merchandising. This can really impact your new builds. You are now analyzing every store, every layout. I'm sure many of you with multiple stores have changed the format over the years. This is going to help you pick the optimum layouts and placement of products from all of your designs and come up with a hybrid. And it's based on actual, customer activity within every store that you have, and it's coming out with, the best and the worst of different situations. Average dwell times fluctuate throughout the day, but the overall percentage of shoppers spending 5 to 10 minutes per trip has grown in 2023. I think it's because trips are down, and so we're seeing, a slightly larger basket size and slightly longer shopping times because there's less trips. So how can we use that to our advantage, right? We take something that's actually down, but then we can use it to improve our business by increasing those basket sizes through intelligent, product placement, promotions, and pricing. So, and just to give you kind of both sides of the coin, longer dwell times can be positive, reflecting a shopper willing to linger and browse, or it can be negative, a frustrated shopper who feels like they're wasting their time waiting in a checkout line or looking for a product. And that's where the facial reaction, so it's not facial recognition, but you can see where they smile when they look to the sign for a promotion. Were they walking around scowling and you could tell they're looking for something? And what did they end up buying? Did they find the product or did they walk out of the store? So again, what do you want to know about your business? And that's what this can provide. Employee schedules can be optimized.
Curious here, real quick. I'm thinking through the audience's lens. They may be like me, where it's like, you got my mind spinning of, wow, I could use this technology this way, or I could use it that way, and I could see all this opportunity. But then it feels a little bit overwhelming, like, well, where do I even start to source vendors, or what's realistic of what I can actually do versus the technology that's out there? Is that where somebody hires, maybe it's you or ROC Associates to come in and be able to advise on, yeah, you can do this, and here's this vendor or set of vendors that can help you provide that use case? How do I go from idea to solution?
Sure, sure. I mean, certainly, bringing in, whether it's us or another consulting firm, can absolutely help you by providing you with the guardrails of how to get there, right? How to go down the road. For me, the first thing that I would do, as I say, is build out the use cases. What is it that you want to know? So, you want to know those pump to store conversions. You want to know customers' facial reactions. You want to know their dwell times. You want to know, the employee, but what employees, or let's broaden it. What do you want to know about your employees? Do you want to know when somebody is rude to a customer? Do you want to know who's not greeting customers when they walk in the front door? Do you want to know who's not upselling or who is upselling? So again, it's really sitting down and thinking, boy, I'd love to know what my food service people are doing in the kitchen, or I don't know how many people use the bathrooms in a day. I mean, it's really just sitting down, and you have to have a cross-functional team, right? You want to have somebody from marketing. You've got to have people from operations, from food service, fuel and forecourt, marketing, loyalty. And it's really a think tank of what do you not know today that you would like to know? And I can promise you that, with some guidance and some help, you can extract information from those folks. And that's where you start, is building out what do you want to know. Then you have to look at what technology is existing in your stores today. What are your security cameras? What are their capabilities? Then we would probably send out a very brief RFP, a request for information, from the top vendors that offer these capabilities. And there's multiple vendors out there. I mean, you think about IBM Watson, that's been around for a long time. They're beginning to adapt themselves. Amazon's got technology that does this. There's, Josh, I'm going to ask you to pipe in. We met with a couple of vendors at NACS that we were impressed with. Was it Standard AI that was one of them?
Well, I think, are you thinking of the in-store AI? That was the one that has the microphones by the registers?
Yes. Please tell that story.
Yeah. So they were a kind of like co-presenting, or they were inside of the booth, the Connexus booth, and that's the kind of the technology arm of NACS for those of you that don't know. But in-store AI, I believe they kind of started off building their technology within the kind of more of a help desk atmosphere, where they're monitoring the phone calls with technicians that are taking phone calls to help customers. But they essentially are able to leverage the audio that they can record from these bidirectional microphones at the register to be able to determine whether each customer is being greeted with a happy greeting or not at all, or are cashiers upselling? Are they noticing that a customer has walked to the register with a Red Bull? Maybe the customer didn't know that Red Bull's on special 2 for 1, and is that cashier recommending, hey, if it's 2 for 1, why don't you go grab another one? Or we're doing a combo special today, a Coke and a hot dog is 50 cents off. And it's not, I mean, it can actually get down to the detailed level of exactly what products that cashier is mentioning, because it does have that that intelligence that can really recognize language. And that's where you can really get into the monetization. CPG companies will pay good money if you can prove and have the data behind it to know that your cashiers are upselling specific products. Those impressions are very valuable, and the technology now exists where you can truly track it. So it's some really neat stuff. Yeah.
And it gives you a lot more leverage with your vendors, right? Not only can you monetize it, but they're going to rely on you now and remove the reliance you've had all these years on them. I'm not sure how many of you have mystery shop companies that you hire. I'm sure some of you do, if not all. You won't be paying for that anymore. And that's rear view mirror, right? Oh, I went to this store, yesterday or 3 days ago, and this was my experience. You can be alerted if you want to. I mean, again, that's another decision, is what do you want real-time alerts on? But, if you wanted to get ridiculously wild, you could be alerted every time a cashier doesn't upsell. You could be alerted, or you find out at the end of the day, which stores were the top performing upsellers and which ones weren't. Again, it's limitless of what you can get. It's just deciding what's important to you and what areas do you think you're struggling in, or you believe you could have improvements in. And that's where we begin to build out those use cases, is what do you want to know and what keeps you up at night. But yeah, you can use specific words. So imagine being able to monitor every word that comes out of a cashier's mouth, and then very quickly having that data analyzed at the individual level, at the collective team level, the collective store, district, and wherever you want to go with it. But the key is the granularity of the data that we're capturing, and then what do you want to do with it.
Please don't let me know what every word that comes out of my cashier's mouth is. Yeah. That's insight too.
But you'll very quickly identify the ones that shouldn't be speaking to customers at all, and you can promote them to being customers.
That's right. Yeah.
So, I mentioned employee schedules can be optimized. You can take into factors like store traffic, employee availability, skill sets. You want to have aces in their places. This allows you to do that. Are they upholding the standards in food service preparation? And like I mentioned before, are they using gloves, hairnets? Are they misbehaving in the kitchen? Is there, food leaving out the back door? So, loss prevention is a big part of this as well. So imagine you're able to capture everything that's being said at the register, everything that's happening, because we've got the transaction logs, and then we can look for anomalies. What cashiers processed a refund within an hour of closing? Again, think of it, voids, any metric that you have today, but this is going to give you predictive capabilities and real-time alerts on what's going wrong, so you can quickly correct, and you don't find out, 6 months in that you had a cashier stealing lottery tickets. So it's very, very powerful in terms of that real-time aspect, as opposed to looking in the rearview mirror and then having to take action on bad behavior that has already taken place. So we mentioned the audio, mentioned the uniforms. It can show promotions. Again, which ones are being suggested, which ones aren't, which ones do customers, smile when the cashier suggests it versus nobody ever takes that suggestion. Imagine the power of, God, that promotion was an epic fail, right? It'll be able to analyze if a promotion is cannibalizing another brand. You're going to be able to, again, getting facial recognition, facial response recognition of customers and how they are reacting to your cashiers, and do they look shocked when they look at a price, or do they pick up a product and put it back? I mean, imagine that, pick up and put back, knowing why did so many customers today pick up a Diet Pepsi and put it back? Is it expired? Was there something dirty in the cooler? Who knows? This is going to give you the power to know that. So it can also, as I mentioned with loss prevention, it's huge. It can identify trends and patterns, and identify the likelihood that they will begin showing up at other locations in your network. A cashier has figured out a way around something at the point of sale. You've quickly identified this anomaly based on video footage and audio, and wow, if we don't get a fix for that, this could become network-wide very quickly. So identifying patterns, trends, both positive and negative, is also very powerful to stop something from becoming catastrophic, right? It's also used for making prevention research more user-friendly, such as being able to run natural language queries against the data. So like I was mentioning, you could actually ask it, show me all employees who issued a refund within 1 hour of store closing, and then sum up the total units sold and refund amounts. So you can use natural language now to ask questions. So you don't have to be a technology genius anymore. Depending on the technology you select, it will have this capability. So if you're a CEO and you want to know something about the business, maybe it just came across your desk or somebody mentioned it in a meeting, you could just go and pose that question. And again, it's got all your transaction logs, video footage, audio. Very quickly, it can give you an answer to the question that you hadn't even thought of the question before. So again, our imaginations are what's limiting us. So a company called Spark Recognition and TXB, who happens to be a member of our club, They did a study recently, and Spark Cognition collected video data from the TXP store for less than 2 weeks. So less than 2 weeks of information. That's how quickly this stuff can ramp up. And in that short time, the team was able to learn the demographic mix of shoppers, where and how people are traversing the store and spending time, service level measures at the food service and checkout counters, movement of customers from forecourt to store. So all the things that we've kind of talked about, but they already had enough data captured in 2 weeks to make this a viable solution. This isn't something, like when you've got, a forecasting engine for ordering, you've got to have historical sales to make it work. If you're, using a workforce tool, then, again, you've got to have a lot of historical data before it becomes really accurate and meaningful. That's the beauty of this technology, is because it self-teaches itself, and the more you feed it. So imagine that, the more data you give it, the better it becomes, the faster it becomes, and the smarter it becomes. So that's the game changer here, in my opinion. So a real-time dashboard, and most of these companies provide you with dashboards based on what you want. Most of them you can drag and drop things on and off the dashboard. Like, I don't like this, or this isn't working for me. I want to see this piece of data. So they're very much controlled in a user-friendly way by you. So you're not beholden to these technology companies. They're building tools where the power of the technology is under the hood, right? They've built out these algorithms. They've built out how the machine learning works. It's you just saying, I want this information, that information, and I'd like it presented to me in this way. I don't need to see marketing data because I'm not in that department. I am fuel only, or I am food service only. So you really get to drive it on a user by user basis. And the key is it's become very user friendly. So these dashboards, I think I read somewhere that one company with a good dashboard was able to, by each individual person, save 10 hours a month on not having to run these complex reports based off the past. These dashboards now are time savers in and of themselves. So the real-time dashboard for TXB, and I mentioned this earlier, they never needed to see the actual video images. So again, it's all happening under the hood. And I would love to know, but I'm sure I can guess because I work with enough customers, how much video footage your managers look at. You've probably got loss prevention people that go in. But again, you're looking at historical things, a human trying to identify an anomaly or a trend, and then you've got to find the fix. So really, all of that internal knowledge that your resources have in their heads is now being applied faster, stronger, greater, and they can then be focused on root cause prevention instead of just figuring out what is going wrong, right? So instead of looking for loss, they are focusing all of their attention on mitigating it and making sure it doesn't happen again, or it doesn't become systemic. So in TXP's case, they didn't have to look at any footage. The AI components did it. They watched all the live feeds, utilized their AI capabilities, and continued to report back against predefined scenarios. Those are those use cases. So TXB would have told the AI company, Spark Cognition, this is what we want to know, and then the machine just runs wild looking at all that footage. And Josh was telling me about a 60 minutes segment this past weekend, the power of these computers now. And I'm not technical. I was a store manager for many years. I've always been operations, so I really can't speak to this. But I guess the way computers used to work and the way they could process data, it is now become a thoroughbred racehorse. It's astronomical, the amount of data that can be consumed. I think the biggest challenge is how to keep these machines cool, because they're processing in such large amounts and so fast now to support AI, that's really the key. But imagine that 2 weeks of live feed and nobody had to look back at the video. It was all handled from the AI algorithms, the use cases that were fed in, and the machine learning over time. The store manager at TXB actually asked that in addition to mobile alerts of whatever these use cases they defined were producing, could a task list be created that summarizes key things that he needed to correct or pay further attention to, immediately added to the dashboard. So it could tell him, these 3 employees weren't upselling. I can go coach them immediately. Or, this person. So yeah, it's tailored to whatever they want to know, But that was one of his requests once he realized the capabilities was, I don't want to just get mobile alerts of something that's gone wrong, but I want a task list of things that, you know, these two employees were loading the coolers very differently, and one took longer than the other. Again, it's your imagination that limits what information you can extract, because we're capturing everything. So I mentioned monetizing data, and I think this is the thing that, you know, not only are you going to sell more, get better margins from better pricing, better promotions, you know, pump to store conversions, basket size improvements. I mean, it's limitless, right? But now you've got all of this data that the CPGs and you know, your vendors, they would kill for this information, because all they know is what they sell you, and they get Nielsen reports and things like that. But this is proof positive, exactly what customers' behaviors are, exactly what they're buying, and how they are reacting to it. Takes a lot of guesswork out. So, you know, inflation's crazy right now. I can't believe that the way prices have gone up. I mean, I used to, you know, get 12 packs of Diet Coke for, you know, 4 for 12 or 3 for 10. They're like $6.99 each now. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. So more consumers are looking for greater value, even with discretionary purchases. So as product prices remain high, smart convenience retailers are leveraging CPG-funded promotions as a cost-effective way to attract new customers. So imagine going to a CPG, providing them with data like we've talked about, and instead of them writing you a check for it, they will fund promotions on products that you know that you sell, on customers that reacted positively to past promotions. And so you're getting all of your promotions fully funded now. So, you know, again, the monetization of this data cannot be minimized at all. It's huge. We've never had access to this kind of data before. Some of it, yes, but not to this extent and to this level of detail. So in order to leverage this, of course, we have to understand our customers better and provide the data that shows why CPGs will be making a wise investment with their promotions, because we both are going to benefit from it. Better exposure for their products, increasing our sales, knowing what sells and what doesn't. So it's a win-win for everyone. And I can tell you that most will know with uncertainty that they want to participate. They want to you know, work with you. And to know, you know, about upselling, we know how critical upselling is and what it can add to your bottom line. They will pay for that kind of data. I think we've covered a lot of that. I mean, loyalty programs as well. Imagine being able to feed in your loyalty program data that you're already gathering. So, and couple that with video and audio, you know, socio-demographic, transactional, what did they buy? Behavioral, what did they look at? How long was they standing there? And then purchase reactions, those facial expressions. It's just, you know, we've never been able to capture this before. Loss prevention. So we've got data from various sources, right? We've talked about transaction logs, employee performance records. It's coupled with video surveillance footage. We know how people have stolen in the past. We can, you know, identify anomalies much quicker. We can flag patterns of indicative behavior that we know has been fraudulent historically, but we're doing it in real time. It allows you to take appropriate disciplinary action or preventative measures. You know, disciplinary action is one thing, but if we can identify these things in real time and get preventative measures in place, we can mitigate and minimize our losses. So it allows us to do, you know, internal investigations faster. We can implement stricter access controls or limit functionality, and provide additional training where needed. The continuous learning capabilities mean that its effectiveness in identifying fraud improves over time. This dynamic learning approach ensures that the retail business stays ahead of evolving tactics used by dishonest employees. We've always said that cashiers know more about our point of sales than we do, and they will find a way around it. And that's an age-old problem. We're never going to eliminate it, but this gives us a tool to identify it and act on it much more quickly. And we're consuming a lot more data, so it's going to be much harder for cashiers to find a loophole. We can not only look for unusual behaviors, but unusual transaction patterns as well. So, you know, again, it's not just the video. We've got the transaction logs. We can even get the key presses from the point of sale to know exactly. You'll know if cashiers are asking for identification without having to go and review hours of footage. That can be something that you get a report every day. So that's, again, I can't emphasize the real time instead of rear view mirror. So above store. So we've done forecourt, in-store, above store, predictive maintenance. We can start tracking how often, freezers go down, how often light bulbs go out. So instead of you having a, catastrophic emergency, we can be predictive in what maintenance needs to be done. So I think that's huge. Optimized pricing. You can use AI to be, more informed when making your decisions. You can leverage this in a way where you're taking in vast amounts of data, and you can do, pricing elasticity studies with AI. And if you're open to pricing differently across your different locations, this is the tool to do it. It's going to tell you, why a promotion failed. And not just that it failed, but why it failed. And it could have been the pricing, could have been the position in the store. A lot of the next one is just, it's all about these complex algorithms that are plugged in. And again, most of the tech happens under the hood. All we need to do is figure out what we want to know. And price strategies and price optimization is a huge part of that consumer experience. And that's going to be, I think, one of the biggest advantages that we get, not just in getting customers to come, be repeat customers, increasing basket size, but it also gives us a leg up on the competition, and can also allow real-time dynamic pricing in cases if you'd like it to be, where, wow, 5 people frowned when they looked at that price. We just had a price change on that product. Let's change that now dynamically so we don't have that happen. You can modify prices based on fluctuations in demand, seasons, holidays, economic situations. So that's that dynamic pricing again, based on different activities. Use predictive analytics. Merchants can strike the right balance between offering attractive discounts to clear inventory and retaining profit margins. All the things that we have struggled with over the years can finally be solved with one tool, and it's a tool built on top of technology you've already paid for. It's been reported that look, we know Amazon and Walmart are hugely successful. It's no secret. Amazon drives 35% of its sales through its product recommendations engine. Imagine, that's huge, right? And that's just because it knows what I've looked at, it knows what I've been looking at, and so it can make suggestions. And we can also impact our store layouts using this type of technology, right? If we notice that the customer pattern is always the same when somebody walks in the front door, but they never buy from that first aisle, where do they go, and how do we change the store layout to leverage what we're learning and make it a much more improved customer experience, which in turn will improve sales and margin. So here's a particular chain in Latin America. They wanted to standardize its pricing decision process. So it had to capture large volumes of market data and be able to incorporate pricing strategies to improve the store's overall image. That's the other thing as well. You can incorporate competitor pricing, both on fuel and merchandise, and that can be part of this machine learning as well. So how to best compete. Rapidly using transactional and market data, store segmentation and SKU sensitivities were established. By broadening the scope and competitor data, Prisma was able to improve the overall price picture, avoiding aggressive pricing on known value items such as dairy products and increasing prices on snacks and sweets. And they were able to, using these tools, know that customers weren't bothered by it. They achieved, in a very short period of time, a 10% increase in margins, calculated the number of SKU display days per store, and aligned this value with supplier lead times, reducing inventory and stock levels by 20%. The implementation was successfully completed in 3 months. That led to the expansion of the project in another 8 countries. So this is not a technology that takes years to give you a return on your investment. So within 3 months, imagine that they completed the implementation and then they expanded it to 8 other countries. So this moves very quickly. TXB with their 2-week collection of data. So just to kind of, and look, you can go online and Google AI and retail. It's a massive topic and there's massive amounts of information. But I've tried to kind of boil it down for you today so you don't get overwhelmed. Know that the technology is doing the bulk of the work under the hood. You just have to come up with, what you want to solve, what are the business problems you have, and what do you want to know about your business that you don't know today, and what's important to each department at the time.
A question on that, like, where do we start? Like, sky's the limit and what we can go after and how we can use this. But for, mid-sized retailers in the United States, where's the lowest hanging fruit that you see? Hey, try to attack this first, because we can only, walk before we run.
Sure, of course. Yeah, and I highly recommend don't jump in the deep end and come up with 150 use cases. Start small. Start with 25 to 40 use cases, hitting the top things for, cross-functionally. Then that will be a collective 40 cases. So what are the top 3 to 5 things that each, division of your company wants to know about? Start small. The more you feed it, the more it's going to learn, and the more you see it providing to you, the more use cases you'll come up with. And you want to keep that dashboard that each person has manageable. So, one is, figure out, is this something you want to do? Are the security cameras that you have in place, are they at a level high enough to support this? Is the audio portion of it interesting to you at all? Or do you think the video footage, is capturing enough? So it's like, what part of AI, what part of the business? You could start just in your forecourt if you wanted to. So there's no one size fits all. The key is don't overwhelm yourself. I think when we first got above store reporting tools, right, I think everybody got overwhelmed and weren't quite sure how to use it. So start out with 25 to 40 use cases, understand what technology you have, and understand what type of AI you want to leverage. Is it video only? Is it transactional data only? So there's no one size. It's what you're prepared to do and what you think your challenges are. And certainly, Josh and I are always happy to have a 1-hour call with anybody. So don't hesitate to reach out if you've got questions about where to start, because I probably would have to ask you 20 questions before I could give you a suggestion on where to start. That's typically what we find. So you should be thinking about it.
For Fiona, and as we wrap up here, I hope you guys found this to be a really useful journey through the world of AI. It's very fastly changing, and it's really nice, Fiona, to have your expertise. And thank you for making that offer. That if anybody wants to, follow up with you, you'd be happy to have an hour call with them and answer their questions. So we'll send you out the video recording of this, as well as Fiona's contact information, and we encourage you to take her up on that offer. And again, thank you, Fiona, for your time and educating us here on this very important topic. And happy holidays to everybody.
Thanks, everyone.